Hey guys, Christine here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm sharing with you my postpartum surprises. So just a little disclaimer, I am filming this while I'm still currently pregnant with my second child. So this is drawing purely on my one postpartum experience thus far. And also another disclaimer, while I felt these things and was surprised by these things, it obviously doesn't mean that every woman is going to feel this way and experience these things, so please don't freak out if you're worried about these. It doesn't mean that everyone's going to have it, but these are just things that surprised me postpartum, things that I wasn't expecting. And I mean, I feel like I was pretty well prepared for the postpartum experience. You know, I'm a nurse. I'm not practicing nurse at the moment, but I have a nursing background, and so I'm used to doing research and understanding the medical side of things, and so yeah, a few of these were surprises for me. A couple of them are physical surprises, but the others are actually all like emotional and mental. So yeah, I hope that you find them interesting. So the first thing that surprised me was the complete lack of bladder control. And I'm not talking about, because I'd heard about how when you cough or sneeze or whatever, you might have some bladder weakness. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about immediately postpartum. Like, I had no idea that I needed to use the bathroom. Like, zero. I just had no control. The muscles were not working and the receptors were not working. And I mean, like, we're talking real stuff. This is postpartum, so you're bleeding heavily. And then I had no bladder control, and I kind of freaked out at first. I was like, oh my gosh. But then thinking about it in context, you have just delivered a child. It is like a truck going through there, and those muscles end up being pretty traumatized. And I'm fairly certain that it resolved itself within about 3 days. So once the swelling and bruising had sort of settled down a little bit, everything settled down. But that really surprised me. I wasn't expecting that. So if you're a first-time mum and that happens to you or has happened to you, it's nothing to be concerned about. For me, I can't even really remember when it resolved, so obviously it wasn't that big of a deal. But yeah, definitely something that surprised me. The next thing that surprised me, which is also, this is kind of like physical and emotional, and that was the postpartum weight loss. And I put on a lot of weight with my first pregnancy. I put on a lot of weight with this pregnancy. A lot of it is water weight. I do swell up, especially at the end of my pregnancies. But for me, what I struggled with postpartum, and what surprised me postpartum, was not the weight loss aspect, because I did lose the weight pretty quickly. I think I lost like 10 kgs in a week after I'd had Jack. It came off very, very quickly. But what took a while to go back to somewhat normal, because let's be honest, once you've had a child, nothing about your body is ever normal again, was the flabby skin. Like, it was just, and it makes sense because it's been stretched so much. And I wasn't even I'm not just talking about like my belly, I'm talking about my thighs as well, especially my thighs. But just like the flabby skin, and on my tummy, yes, I went back to being a slim or slender person, but my skin has never been the same, and that's something that I wasn't necessarily expecting. I mean, compared to a lot of women, it's probably very, very, very mild, and I'm not complaining about it, but it did surprise me. And there are ways to combat that and to help it, but it took longer than I was expecting, and yeah, I just was a bit surprised by that. So even though you can be of small build, you're still going to end up with some scars from pregnancy, and that's not a bad thing. That's something to be proud of. You've carried a child for 9 months, but it can be surprising, and sometimes it's a little bit difficult to get your head around that, so just something to be aware of. The next thing I want to talk about is an emotional thing, and it's something I was not expecting, and that was a delay in the bonding process with my son. And when I say delay in bonding, I don't mean it was a delay in loving him, because I loved him straight away, but I didn't feel that overwhelming sense of emotion that a lot of mums talk about. I think part of that was because my labor and delivery was very, very fast. It was 3 hours from the time my waters broke to when I delivered my son. And so I was physically in a lot of shock and still kind of in a bit of pain afterwards. I did tear and I was having after pains and stuff like that. And so when he was born, I didn't really feel that excitement of like, what is it? What gender is it? And oh, my baby's here. I just felt relief that the process was over. And then I was still trying to sort of recover, and then all of a sudden you're trying to get to know this baby. And so for me, that bonding took place over the next several weeks. We had lots of breastfeeding issues and stuff like that. And again, I want to stress, it's not that I didn't love my son. I did. But for me, it was like getting to know a complete stranger. Like, yes, I loved him, but I didn't know him. And so obviously now he's 18 months and I adore him. I think he's just the most wonderful thing ever. But at the time, it definitely was a delay in bonding, and I especially didn't expect that because I had a very straightforward delivery. You know, you hear about women who have traumatic births having issues with bonding, but you know, so for me, because mine was very straightforward, I didn't think I would experience that, but I did, and it took a while, and it's certainly nothing to be ashamed of if you do experience that, and it doesn't mean that you don't love your baby, because you do. And trust me, the bonding does happen. It just takes time, you know. And I remember that first smile he gave me around 6 weeks was just like, it sealed the deal, guys. He's just like, he was mine. The next thing that I did not expect postpartum was anxiety. I did not have to deal with postpartum depression, but I do feel like I had some anxiety. I think that has something to do with my personality type. I'm definitely a type A personality. I like things to be ordered and organized, and I just had this overwhelming sense of anxiety, especially at nighttime. Just worrying how I was going to cope. You know, like I was always imagining the worst case scenario, and trying to take it all on myself. And part of that could certainly be managed a lot better, but it was not something I was prepared for. I have had anxiety in the past and dealt with it, but it was quite overwhelming, and I would say probably the first 2 months, and then it got better after that point, probably when Jack started sleeping longer stretches, and so did I. It's amazing what some sleep will do for you. But the anxiety I wasn't expecting. Again, if you're a first-time mum and you experience that, it's not necessarily an abnormal thing, but if you feel like it's getting to the point where it's, you know, becoming an issue, absolutely seek help and talk to someone about it, and don't try and keep struggling on your own, because it's no one's going to give you a medal or an award for doing that. It's better that you get help, because it's better for you and it's better for your family. And then the last thing I want to talk about that was a surprise to me postpartum is the feeling of never being enough. It's like this worry that never leaves, and you shouldn't always worry about your kids, but it's like you're just always thinking ahead, and I think it's just an instinct thing, like you're trying to protect them. And I remember feeling, and I still feel like this often, is that everyone wants a piece of you, and you're always giving, and it just never feels like there's enough, because someone always wants something more from you. And yeah, I think that's a natural part of being a mother, but I also think you have to be careful, and you have to manage it and make sure you make time for yourself, and don't give everything that you've got, because then there's going to be nothing left, and that's not a good thing. So it wasn't something I was expecting. I don't know if it's something anyone can prepare you for. It's just life, and you have to learn how to live it. I know a lot of these sound really hard and like crazy scary things, especially if you're a first-time mum, but trust me, motherhood makes the best of you, really. The quote that I love is one by Charlotte Mason, which is something along the lines of, motherhood is the journey away from self, and it honestly couldn't be more true. It brings out things in you that you didn't even know were possible, and it also, you know, makes you a better person, I believe, if you're doing it the right way. So these are things that surprised me postpartum. They're a little bit different to other people's postpartum surprises, I think. But these are just things I wasn't expecting. A lot of the physical stuff I was expecting and was prepared for, so hence why I haven't included it. But I hope you found this helpful and insightful. If you would care to, please leave a comment below and let me know what you thought. And if you did enjoy the video, hit the thumbs up button. If you would like to continue to see updates from me and my family, then please subscribe so you can see when I put up a new video. Otherwise, thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!